Welcome to another episode of
Faith, Family, and Business.
Hey, I'm Adrian, and this is
Tanya.
And we're coming to you today from, I know it's a different background than the first couple episodes, but this is our second home, or we can actually call it our first home, right?
Our first home.
We're in church today, right? Hence, Faith, Family, and Business, correct?
Amen.
Yeah, so how much time would you say on average we spend here?
At least.
Don't lie, we in church.
We're here at least twice a week.
Yeah, that's
2
for
to 3
sure.
times a week.
That's for sure. And the hour amount, we would say varies, but we love serving and we love being here. So what we realized is that we brought you guys a pilot episode and didn't tell you guys anything about us. Yeah. So I'm going to let my wife speak about her background, and then I'm going to come and tell you guys a little bit about myself.
So first of all, before I'm anything, I'm a child of God. I'm a woman of God. I'm a wife, a mother. I'm originally from Jamaica. I've been here over 30 years. And What Guan? I'm sorry, go ahead. I love the Lord. I love the things of God. We're passionate about Christ. We're focused on our family and growing God's house, growing the kingdom of God. So that's who I am. And so I'll let my husband tell you who he is. Now,
she's being a little modest, okay, because there's a little bit more to this little gem right here, right? She's also been in business for well over 30 years as a manicurist, owned multiple shops, but also have had the opportunity to be able to minister to a lot of people, spread a lot of love, spread a lot of compassion. Yeah. And honestly, she's been a joy to me. A little bit about myself, definitely man of God, third generation pastor, although I'm a youth pastor, not a full pastor, but grandfather was a pastor, dad is a pastor, and now my wife and I, we assume the youth pastor role here at Freedom Covenant Center. Here for us is Cleveland, Ohio. Yes. We enjoy it here. What else can you say? Next thing about myself, I'm a retired former athlete. Played in the NFL for 4 years, played my college ball at The Ohio State University. So my insight is a little different, having had a chance to be at what the world would consider the pinnacle, the top of the level, and having that opportunity, that blessing to be able to, live and experience that. But for me, I would say that the height of my life now is serving the Lord and my family. I absolutely love my family. I love all of our children as the age range all the way from 25 all the way down to soon to be 6. I love, like we said in the first episode, I love family. Mm-hmm. I love my wife, and I love the Lord most importantly. So that's a little bit about us. Sorry it came so late, but it's all good. We don't like to boast about our past and so on and so forth. We want to make sure that it stays on the Lord and it stays light. Yeah. Okay? So, go ahead.
We've been married for 8 years.
8 years. Well, as my wife would say, we're in our 8th year. It's really like I think we're really 9 years, but when we hit 9 years, she'll say we're in our 9th year. So the way I like to explain it is it's the language barrier, right? Although they speak English in Jamaica, patois, right? But like some of the things just don't, they don't roll back over, right? But
I just feel that if you're married for 8 years, you're in your 8th year, going into your 9th year.
Amen. That's for another episode and another time. But I will tell you this though, funny enough, that does bring us to our topic today, which is how do two really become one? Okay. So as you can see, we definitely, we had our, I won't say vast differences, but we've had our differences, as we said before, in our upbringing and, you being from Jamaica and my family, my dad being from Guyana. Yeah. So that kind of bridged that gap a little bit. Wouldn't you say?
It does. Because we like the same kind of food. We like the same kind of music. We have the same vibe. So I'm grateful that God gave me a man of God that love what I love, and I love what he loves. So that's great.
For sure. Now, we do have, like I said, we have our differences, which we may bring up a couple today. Like, for instance, in our bedroom, take you in there for a second. In our bedroom, we have Jamaica on I think it's the southern side of the bed. And on the northern side, we actually have Cleveland, right? So you like to keep it about a cool 100 degrees, I would say.
No. So on his side of the bed, he has a fan all year round.
All year,
that
of course.
blows all year round.
Of course.
Winter, summer, whatever is blowing. So in the wintertime, I have to put my heater on to stay warm.
So listen.
Winter, summer,
okay,
all the time.
In my defense, right? In the summertime, the air doesn't get all the way upstairs, right? So I have to have the fan. And also, in my defense as well, our kids, their room is right across from our room. So at any given time, I'm in a sauna that she created because she's got the heat on 1 million in their room, and we've got the heat on 1 million in our room. So I got to get a cool 60, but with my actually, I got to keep my fan at 30 because if you average it out, I probably get about 70 degrees.
Well, I know it's in the blood because some of our kids let's talk about that. Some of the kids like it hot.
Oh, man.
Right? They're always hot. Christian is always hot. Mackenzie is always hot. Parker is always hot. Right?
That's true.
This is some of them.
That's true. But, I mean, the word does say that he rather us be hot or cold. He don't want us lukewarm. So, you know what I mean? Just sometimes I much rather, you're a person that would much rather just have warm weather all the time. Me, give me some cool. Let me regulate my heat. I don't like to be hot. I'm a big man, as you can see, but that's neither here nor there. Okay? So, but how do two really become one?
Well, that's a question.
So, as we continue on with this topic, right, how would you say, what is the best way of connecting with your spouse emotionally, spiritually, and physically? What would you say?
I think, first of all, because it's two people trying to come together, right? And it's like i.e. our dad would say, when you get married, you're 2 cups trying to pour yourself into 1 cup.
Right.
So it's you emptying a little bit of yourself.
Facts.
And the other person emptying some of themselves, so you can fit in a cup together.
Right. So okay, so let's take that analogy.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you take 2 pitchers and pour it into one, you can still have more of one than the other in there. So how do you equally manage or equally put the same amount in where, number one, we don't try to change each other, right? At least like try to change each other to be what we want each other to be, right? But we do try to respect, love, and care for those very things that we fell in love with from jump. Like, how do you make sure that we're putting just the right amount of both in?
I think it's like coming to the end of yourself.
Okay.
Right? Because I feel that sometimes you may want to do certain things and your spouse may want to do something else. Right. And it's becoming selfless to say, okay, let's try it this way or let's do it this way. Just because I always want to make sure I'm checking to see how you're doing, how you're feeling, what you may need. And you do the same vice versa. So I think, if you have 2 willing parties that want the best for the other person, then you put that sacrifice in.
Okay. Now that sounds awesome in theory, right? So let's talk about application, right? One of the biggest things that we try to keep in our house is communication.
Yes.
And communication is hard depending on the situation, depending on the vibe, depending on what's going on, right?
Right.
So, sometimes like I'm a problem solver, you know that, right? I don't want us going to bed upset.
Right.
I don't even want you mad at me for 20 seconds, right?
Right.
But then in the same regards, I'm pretty persistent because I try to make things right. I want to fix it. But your role, right? Your role would be sit there until I'm ready to talk, right?
So, growing up,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a big talker.
Okay.
So for me, I have to get it in my mind, get my thoughts together,
Right.
and you're quick with it. You know, you have a quick mind. You talk quick, so I have to be
That's how I got
ready, right? I have to be ready when we talk, right? So I have to get my thoughts together, make sure I say what I want to say.
Right, but do you really though? Because here's the thing, right?
Right.
So it's kind of, let's go to the word. So for instance, okay, the word, it talks about how in Mark 10, verses 6 through 9,
right.
But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother, establish a home with his wife, and the two shall become one flesh, so that they are no longer two, but are united as one flesh. Therefore, what God has united and joined together, man must not separate, right? I bring that up to say, now I know it says we're to be one flesh. Now it doesn't say we're to be one mind, right?
Right.
But if we are
two individuals coming together to be one.
But if we are in Christ, then we should be closer to that one mind. Not saying that we should be exactly the same,
right?
But the word also says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath.
Right.
Right.
So I would say when you first get married, right, you may not, sync the way you feel you should sync. But over time, as you grow together, as you're getting to know each other even more, because when you come into the end of yourself, right, it's like the things that you used to do singly,
right,
you're not doing that anymore. So now it's singular.
Language barrier. It's okay. Go ahead. Singularly.
Now you thinking with the thought of someone else.
Right. That's true.
Or if you have children, you're thinking with the thought of not just myself.
That's true.
But I'm thinking about my husband. I'm thinking about my kids. I'll use myself as an example. When we first got married, I was used to trying to figure out everything on my own.
Right.
Right.
Understand.
And that took a while for me to understand and to, let my guards down to say, okay, Tanya, you don't have to do this by yourself. Right. You don't have to figure this out. Right. Before, if I think something, I just go ahead and try to fix it my own self. Whereas you came in, you're like, babe, you don't have to do this by yourself. You don't have to figure it out by yourself. I'm here. So it's me changing my mindset to say it's not one anymore. It's two.
Now, I do recall in our very first episode how you made an analogy saying how you would go straight. Let me look at the camera. She would go straight. And I would go all around the Mulberry bush, I think she said. But hold on. I think I just heard confirmation as to what I said was right. Now, it's not about being right and wrong, because I'll be wrong anytime for her, okay? But it's about being consistent.
Right, but
okay?
You know what?
But it's all good, though. It's selfless plug. I love her. When she's wrong, I'm wrong. When she's right, I'm still wrong. And that's how it works. But go ahead.
It doesn't. What I'm saying is, if I went straight or you went straight,
we both going straight.
Right.
No, but we both going straight.
We're still
together.
We won.
We won flesh.
We are one.
So even if I might veer off or you veer off, and one of us is going straight, we're still going straight.
As long as we get to the same place, right?
Listen, that's what I'm saying. All right, same place. Okay, I like it. Well, I mean, you bring up a great point. You know what I mean? And it's. I think, you said in one of the episodes also, in the first episode, that change is difficult, right? And being a mother of a son as well, a young mother of a son, you had to take on certain responsibilities that you had to figure out, right? And I can imagine how hard and how difficult that would be moving forward, to then be able to make adjustments and to say, okay, I'm willing to release the reins. I'm willing to say, all right, I'm going to trust this man. I'm going to trust this situation. I'm going to trust the God in this man, because God had to come into me before you can actually trust me at the point that you're trusting me now, to then be able to move forward and for us to then be able to build what we're building. Now, I dig that. I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. Now, let me ask you this, though. So when we think about, two becoming one, right? And we're talking about, again, we said emotionally, we said spiritually, and we said physically, right? How important is spending time with each other? Date nights, pillow talk. How important would you say that is?
I think it's very important because you spend so much time with the kids. You know, it could be overwhelming with work.
And the kids be hating too.
Kids are haters
because you want to go on a date. Are you going on a date night tonight?
You want to be with your husband?
Why don't you talk to your wife, Dad? Talk to your wife. Crazy. But anyways, go ahead.
They could be haters, but
all kids. No,
they don't want us to be great together.
And how you think they got here? They don't realize that. They don't realize the magic happened when you're alone, but then they always want to take away the magic time. That's because they selfish. They don't want no other brothers and sisters. But no, that's for another time. Go ahead.
But it's because sometimes you're doing this, you're doing that, and you look up, it's like 2, 3 weeks. You haven't spent any time together. That's true. Right?
That's true.
So it's putting it on the calendar. It's saying, okay, we need time to step back to get ourselves together.
Right. That's
for
true.
each other, so we can be great for the kids.
And let's think about it, right? Our lives are very demanding, right? Whether it's work, whether it's family, whether it's church, there's a lot that God has for us to do, right? I mean, he does say to whom much is given, much is required. So it's not that we're complaining, but it's just like anything else, you know. You can't keep on using the same batteries and the same remote forever. Right. At some point in time, you need that recharge. You need that reset. You need to be able to stare into each other's eyes and just continue to like re-fall in love with each other and spend that time again without having one in the middle talking about, can I have an ice cream sandwich? Right? And that's our reality, right?
That's our reality. If we hugging, they hugging. They want to hug too.
Goodness,
you know, whatever we doing, they want.
Group hug every single time, right? Every single time.
So you do have to take the time to step back, whether it be a little 2-day vacation, one night out of town, anything we can get, we want it because
anything, man.
We don't really get it. So.
Listen, even on our off days when we have a chance to be at the shop, just the two of us, the kids are at school for a second, like. That's an opportunity because it's not just about us sitting down and, you know, romantically being together, but it's about us sitting down and planning out the things that we need to plan out for business, for ministry, right? For our family, so we can, you know, maximize ourselves and be the best versions of ourselves. But if you're constantly running all the time, like, you know, I believe the Lord wants us to rest. I mean, he said it. On the 7th day, he rested. The
Lord definitely wants us to rest. And think about it. If you're real tired, your mind is not working properly. You can't really think straight. So you do have to get recharged and, you know, so you can go back in. Well, and date night doesn't necessarily, I call some of them dates.
Right.
Date dates.
Yeah, dates. Breakfast dates.
You can go to breakfast. If you can go to lunch together, just to stop and just take 2 hours.
Girl,
whatever we can get.
You being all fancy. If we could go to a Walgreens by ourselves, right? Just in the car. If we go to pick something up, we have somebody at the house.
We like, we're in the house. We're in the car together.
In the car, right. So, I mean, it used to be so crazy. Date night for us would get some carry out, drive by the water, sit down at the water, and just eat dinner.
Yeah, well, during the pandemic,
COVID. During
COVID, we couldn't really go anywhere. So we would order our food and go by the water and sit in the car. And so that was our date.
And you know what? And I'll tell you, you know what I mean? I think that we've had some great examples before us, you know, being mine, dad, being the pastors of here. You know, I think, I believe that, you know, when you have that, it's not a burden. When you have that responsibility placed on you, it's a huge call. And sometimes you have to sacrifice things. And I know they sacrificed a lot, you know, to be in a position that they are in, some willingly, some unwillingly, but to have them as models and to be able to see them and to be able to just, you know, kind of move similar to how they move, you know, and see some of the things that they did that might have worked, some things that didn't, and we can avoid that. I think that works too. You know, my mom being a working woman, waking up early in the morning, very similar to our situation, not getting home until later. And just like you, but still making sure the house was taken care of. You know, dad being an entrepreneur, and building a business. And I believe that a lot of our foundation came from our foundation. You know?
Well, yeah, that's true. Myself being from a broken home, you know, my mom and dad divorced, but they were still good role models for me. But to see the unit of your mother and father and what they instilled in you guys.
Our mother and father.
Right. She's my mother and they're my parents. But they have poured a lot into me, even in how, to be a good wife, how to be a good mother. I know Ma, she's always tirelessly showing us how to pray, how to, she just spends a lot of time giving us those tools and equipping us for what we have to do.
And to fault at times, I mean, because we can send her away for 2 weeks. Just lock you up in a room in Cancun or something. Just enjoy it.
Well, she deserves it.
Right, she definitely does. I mean, so but when you really think about it, right, and you look around and life is moving so fast, right? It's just I got to do this, I got to do that. Let's think about it, because when the bills start knocking, right, and let's say when you're a business owner, you have overhead. When you have your home overhead, you have your tithes and your offering that you're paying with. Honestly, for us, that's a non-negotiable. Right. And life is just moving so fast. Got to pick up the kids, drop them off. Got to do this client. Got to be here. Being at work at 5 a.m., not leaving until 9 p.m. What can we do, right? What can we do to make sure that we are continuing to grow, to make sure that we are continuing to, not just grow in the natural, but grow in the spiritual more so than anything, and also grow closer to one another?
Right. Well, I think for myself and for you, when we get up in the morning, we try to pray together. Right. Sometimes we read our word together, and sometimes we read it separately. But
our days are my day is a little different, where I can read the word as I have openings versus you're back to back.
Yeah, so I try to read my word in the morning before I get started. So sometimes we'll be able to do it, sometimes we're not, but as long as we get it done. Right. But spending that time together with the Lord sets our day.
I agree.
And, kind of keep us on the right path, because it could be so much that comes at you during the day that if you don't start it right, you don't know what it's going to end up as. So I think just setting your atmosphere and setting your day for what you expect it to be, that's a big help.
Right. I agree. I believe that having an open line of communication is very important.
Sure.
Right. I believe when you're in a relationship, if I could lay down next to you every single night, that's the biggest show of respect and trust that you could ever have.
Right.
So if I can trust you to lay next to you and know that I'm going to wake up the next day because you ain't crazy enough like that, right? I should then be able to have that same trust and respect in communication, right? Now, again, sounds great in theory, right? But I believe that the Lord wants us to get to the point where we are selfless, we are completely stripped, and we're able to be transparent, to then be open enough to receive as well as to give. Well, really to give as well as receive, right? So I would say communication is probably, in my mind, next to, if you don't communicate, I feel like you can't pray and you can't read the word together.
That's true. And sometimes when you communicate, you may not necessarily want to hear what the other person has to say. But you have to swallow that pill, think about what they've said.
Sometimes it's the size of a horse pill.
Yeah, but
for sure.
But you have to, because if this person knows you so well and you spend so much time with this person and you trust in them, you have to trust to know that they're not going to say anything to harm you, but it's to help you. So
that's true.
Being able to let your guards down to be able to grow together.
Right. What's another tip you would think? What's another thing that we can possibly do?
As far as growing our relationship?
Yeah. As far as taking the time when things are moving fast, slowing down. All right. For me, I would think finding new ways to fall in love with each other, right? More daily, right? Not to say that we fell out, but just to love each other more. Whether it's little things like, telling you I love you more, or, going out and just doing little things. Like if I know, for instance, the other day when I took down the Christmas tree, right? You were thinking to yourself when you came home, this is going to be like last year. Adrian's going to have the Christmas tree up until July, right? Christmas year round in our house, Christmas year round.
The tree can stay up till the summertime.
But it's not about Christmas. It's about family, right? And for whatever reason, when you see that tree and you walk in, you get excited. I don't know what it is. But this time I said, all right, we ain't going into July this year. Matter of fact, I considered keeping it up until next year so we wouldn't even have to worry about the work. But
he considers keeping it up every year till the next year. And he used the thing of our neighbor next door, the lady across the street. Her tree stays up all year round.
Now she's
so he's like, we don't have to take the tree down. But I came home with the thing in my mind. I got to take this tree down. It was Aiden's birthday. We're going to have a birthday celebration. And the tree was up.
The tree was not up. The tree was down when she got home. So when I got home,
the tree was down. And I was so excited because, again, one of my love languages is
you jumping ahead.
Acts of service.
We're not even there. First of all, one of her love languages is all 5. So let's just be honest, okay? She's got a little bit of all 5 in her. Because next time we talk about this, it's going to be physical touch. It's going to be gift giving, gift receiving, words of affirmation, everything. So to be honest with you, listen, I'm with you. I know your love languages. It's all good. We're not even on that today, right? But listen,
we'll talk about it another day.
It depends on the time of the day, okay? Let's just say that we wake up, even when the breath's hot, it's all over the place. I gotta still say, baby, you look so beautiful. Words of affirmation. Because if I say your breath is melting the hairs on the back of my neck,
it might be some.
We ain't gonna do that though.
It might be a little problem.
We'll
talk about that another day. But we all have different love languages, right?
We do, but
you think I have all 5, but that's not necessary.
But honestly, if we're real, we all have all 5. Now we might have 1 or 2 that are more predominant than the other 3, but like we all have them. You know what I mean? So I didn't break up love languages, you did. So, anyways, back to what we're talking about. It's like the conversation we had a couple of days ago, where I told you I felt the Lord was telling me to slow down and take time for Him.
Right.
All right. And that's like one of the hardest things to ever hear, when God says stop.
Right.
Stop and wait for me and listen to me. Right? Because a lot of times it's a recharge. And we are creatures of habit. Yeah. Like, I'm like my mom. I can't sit still for 5 seconds. Right? Well, though my dad, he could pop his feet up and chill and be up all night and do whatever he needs to and still accomplish everything he needs to accomplish. Right. But if I'm sitting down for too long, I feel like it's something I've got to be doing. Right?
If we get home and I said, we're going to chill. 2 seconds later, he's like, we can't lay down. We got to do this. We got to do that. Whereas I can lay down.
Yes, she can. She has that blessing. She can lay down at any given time. Matter of fact, like, it's so bad. We could be sitting here talking about, and the Lord. But that's neither here nor there. But
don't listen to that. But I will, when I'm tired, I'm ready to lay down.
That's true. That's true.
I can stand up and sleep.
I mean, but so I think the reason why that is because you're in constant communication all throughout your day, right? You're hearing people's problems. You're hearing people's stories, whether you want to hear it or not. You're ministering. You're encouraging. Sometimes for me, I might have a 3 or 4 hour gap in the middle, right? I might start super early, then I have this gap in the middle, pick up the boys, and then I'm working until later on in the evening. So, I spend some time by myself, and I think, for me, sometimes, in the past, I've looked at it in a selfish way because it's like, I haven't been with you. I want to talk to you. I want to know how your day is. I want this. I want that, so on and so forth. When the reality of it is that you've been talked at the whole day. And I get it. I understand it. You want to put your head down. You want to lay down. You want to kind of just regain your thoughts. And that's how you regain your thoughts. So, I get it. I understand it. See? Never admitted that to you. You got that on live television.
I've learned something new.
Something new. Always learning. That should be a tip too. Always find ways that you can learn something new.
Yes, because you're always, I don't care how long you've married. No. You're always learning something new about your spouse that you did not know before.
That's true. Why did you have to look at the camera when you said that? That you did not know before? I don't understand. But all right. I mean, it's all good. Hey, my babe. Nonetheless. Well, I'll tell you, so, this brings me to our last scripture, and which is Proverbs 18:22, where it says, "He who finds a true and faithful wife finds a good thing and obtains favor and approval from the Lord." And that's the Amplified. And I believe that wholeheartedly, right? There's not a day that I don't tell you that I appreciate you, that I appreciate the God in you that helped me get to the position I'm in, right? I ain't perfect. I haven't been perfect. I'm not perfect, right? I have my faults. I have the things that I'm trying to get better, so on and so forth. But, when you have the person that God has ordained to be in your life, through that person, he lets you know everything's going to be okay.
True.
You know, and I appreciate the fact that he has given us the insight to understand one another and to take time to understand one another, and also the humility to want to understand each other.
To know that you have your best friend, that you don't have to try to figure out everything by yourself, that you do have someone that you could bounce things off.
True.
You know, normally before I would bog stuff up, but being able to be open to say, you know, we have to take care of this, we have to do this, we have to do that. What are your thoughts? You know, so it's great to have someone that you can share your heart and mind.
Girl, trying to butter me up. I ain't that pumpernickel from Cheesecake Factory. I be your pumpernickel. No, I'm just but nonetheless, you know what? You know, I hope we were able to, you know, drop any knowledge that we possibly can. Now, we're not experts on anything. We're experts on our life, and we're experts on the things that we've experienced. And even in those areas, we're still learning how to humble ourselves in the sight of the Lord, how to be the servant that he called for us to be, how to be better sons and daughters of God, be better husband and wife to each other, better parents to our children, better, you know, sons and daughters to our parents, better servants in the house, better business owners. I mean, you name it. We're still learning. We're still trying
to be the best version of who we're supposed to be.
And we never, ever suggest that we know everything, but we're giving you guys an insight on the things that we've learned and the things that we've experienced and the things that we're still experiencing. So in the weeks to come, you guys are going to hear from the people that are influential to us, that mean the world to us, because their story is a part of why our story is our story. It is. That's right. So thank you for watching.
Thank you. Faith, family, and business.
Faith, family, and business. From the home of Freedom Covenant Center, which is our church in Cleveland, Ohio. We'll see you next episode.
Thank you.